best loved restaurants.
Ian, Rockstar way to see the goal. Let's go!
A virus-stricken nursing home in Western Sydney claims another victim. Tonight, fears for all aged care residents and a tougher crackdown on spitting as the state's death toll hits 28. Going the distance, proof our tough lockdown laws are saving hundreds of lives. Authorities warn not to slack off. Privacy doubts. Barnaby Joy says he doesn't trust his own government over its COVID tracking app. Flattening the curve, a message of hope from the Health Minister as millions of masks arrive in Australia. Major changes to your super early access from tomorrow, why experts are urging caution. And lounge rooms come alive with the sound of music as stars unite from isolation.
Live from our Sydney headquarters, this is 7 News with Mark Ferguson.
Good evening. A COVID cluster at a Penrith nursing home has now claimed a second life. A 94-year-old man died this morning and almost 40 others connected to the home have now tested positive. The Health Minister today backing away from criticism of the worker who unknowingly spread the virus as he zeroed in on a new layer of protection.
A sudden spike in cases and a second life lost at the Newmarch House nursing home after a 94-year-old man died today.
It is going to be a challenge in terms of keeping COVID out of our aged care facilities in general.
26 of the 102 elderly residents have now tested positive, along with 13 staff. All the result of a lone employee who worked 6 shifts unaware she was infected.
An itchy throat, you've got tiniest bit of a temperature, you've got smallest bit of a dry cough, just don't go to work. Certainly no reflection on that particular lady.
Newmarch House accounting for nearly half of the 21 new cases across the state. The government today extending $5,000 fines for spitting or coughing from frontline workers to everyone.
Hopefully it'll act as a deterrent for people to not do this. We're just going about our everyday jobs.
And it's not just retail workers. Assaults on bus drivers in Sydney up by 40% on this time last year.
Oh, it's putrid. It's absolutely putrid. There's no excuse for it anyway.
The Ruby Princess that was due to leave today is still in limbo.
The government stuffed this process up when the ship first came to dock, and they're stuffing it up as it's about to leave.
Testing on the crew's immunity is due back this week. It's understood authorities are closing in on a deal with consulates that would allow crew from certain countries that have recovered and show immunity to be brought here to the airport and flown home.
With 1,000 crew on board, that will be quite a bit of work to determine all of that.
But it's thought the Philippines, that account for a third of the crew, won't be included.
And let's go to Cameron Price now. Cameron, it was another busy night for police enforcing those public health orders.
Yeah, Mark, sure has been. 7 people charged, more than $50,000 in fines issued, among them a 54-year-old man that pushed past fences at Bondi. He was chased and tackled by police. He is tonight in custody being questioned. Also overnight, a 43-year-old man at Potts Point. He was charged and fined by police for telling them he believed driving was a form of exercise. Mark.
Cameron Price, thank you. The tough lockdown measures have already saved hundreds of lives and stopped thousands of infections here in New South Wales. That's according to expert modelling released today by the state government.
Keeping a distance, staying home, businesses shut. A sacrifice that's saving lives.
Only a matter of about 2 months ago, we couldn't have imagined that we would be doing as well as we are.
Before the restrictions, New South Wales was on track to reach 700 deaths by this week, with more than 35,000 extra people infected. Instead, the death toll sits at 30, with less than 3,000 infections.
I think that's probably conservative.
The state government says it backs up why it pushed early for tougher restrictions.
We actually did move as a national cabinet, so I think the New South Wales Premier and government has done a fantastic job.
The growth rate plunging dramatically from an 18% rise per day to less than 1%.
Extending the life of somebody for 1 to 5 years for the cost of trillions of dollars is a questionable trade-off.
Banning people to going for a swim
is a bit ridiculous when around the point there's 30, 40 people going in the water.
After 3 weeks off limits, Randwick Council will open Coogee Beach, Clovelly and Maroubra. From tomorrow, people can use them for exercise only. As for a wider easing of social restrictions, the government is not convinced. It today used the banned activity team sport to explain how much longer restrictions will stay in place.
We're only about, probably if we're lucky, 10 minutes into the first quarter.
The end game in the end is going to be if we have a vaccine.
Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Splits have emerged within the federal coalition over the COVID-19 tracking app, with some MPs speaking out against it. Barnaby Joyce has told 7 News he won't download the app, saying not only is it an invasion of his privacy, but he doesn't trust his own government with his data.
The COVID tracker app has some high-profile volunteers. The Health Minister...
I'll certainly be doing it.
...and the Agriculture Minister...
I will.
But Nationals colleague Barnaby Joyce won't.
If I want the government to know where I am all the time, I'd give them a log into my Fitbit.
Isolating in his hometown of Danglemar, population 208, Mr Joyce is unmoved by the Prime Minister's appeal to a sense of national duty.
Do my duty now. Come and live in Danglemar with me. That's my duty.
Concerned about privacy and unnecessary intrusion.
I don't want the government in every corner of my life. I mean, my house has curtains, not because we're committing crimes, because we like our privacy.
The critical thing is it's voluntary and there's no government access.
The critical thing for Barnaby Joyce, and he says a large number of his constituents, they don't trust the government with their information. It's interesting, though, that you're saying that you don't trust the government with your information, but you are the government.
Oh, no, and I am part of the government, and at times we do get it wrong.
Government Services Minister Stuart Roberts slapping his colleague down.
Look, Barney, no one wants to know where you've gone, pal. We're not interested. And plus, the app doesn't do geolocation.
It's based on a Singaporean version using Bluetooth to detect and test people who've been in contact with an infected person for at least 15 minutes.
The more people on board trace together, the faster we can combat COVID-19.
Only 20% of Singaporeans have downloaded the app. Scott Morrison says we'll need 40% to get the full benefit. Do you think they only get 40%?
No.
And he believes that 100%.
And Mark Riley joins me now from Canberra. Mark, on other matters, a Prime Ministerial advisor has been accused of illegally distributing copies of Malcolm Turnbull's memoirs.
Yeah, Mark, Mr Morrison's executive officer, Nico Lowe, has been hit with a legal letter from Mr Turnbull's publishers accusing him of distributing pirated e-copies of the book in breach of copyright laws. I understand he's apologised, and a spokesman for Mr Morrison says the Prime Minister has reminded all his staff they're expected to meet the highest standards of conduct at all times. At the same time, a former Turnbull government staffer is also moving to have Mr Turnbull expelled from the party. Now, that probably won't happen, but it just goes to show that the bitter wounds from these leadership coups never really heal, Mark.
Yeah, rarely, if ever. Mark Riley in Canberra, thank you. The Australian government is calling for a global independent review into China's handling of the pandemic. Foreign Affairs Minister Marise Payne says while maintaining a relationship with China, she has concerns about its transparency during the crisis.
I trust China in terms of the work that we need to do together. The issues around the coronavirus are issues for independent review, and I think it is important that we do that. In fact, Australia will absolutely insist on that.
The United States has also raised concerns about the origin of the virus, threatening consequences if China is found to have deliberately misled the world. Millions of new face masks could mean some cancelled elective surgeries might be rescheduled within weeks. The Federal Health Minister says we've reached an important milestone on the COVID curve, but surgeons won't rush back into operating theatres unless it's safe to do so.
The soft spot on baby Gia's head closed over too early, but a complex operation to fix it was cancelled, leaving mum Victoria heartbroken.
She requires a 9-hour procedure to basically, correct her head shape.
There is now hope for Gia and 500,000 other Australians on elective surgery waiting lists after a huge influx of personal protective equipment for frontline healthcare workers.
A secure supply opens up the possibility for elective surgery to be progressively and cautiously recommenced.
Of the 66 million masks received, 22 million have already been distributed. Another 100 million will be available between now and the end of May, with 11.5 million of those masks to go straight to hospitals, GPs, pharmacies, pathologists and allied health workers. An alliance of the country's surgeons remains cautious and wants any elective surgery resumption closely monitored.
I am concerned that if we do it too quickly, then we'll start to see consumption of PPEs and we'll start to see increases in community transmission.
The National Cabinet will meet as early as Tuesday to decide when to kick-start elective surgeries. And the Prime Minister is said to be keen to resume time-critical IVF treatments as soon as possible. Good news for women midway through an IVF cycle or waiting for embryo transfers.
It will be amazing for the patients. We'll relieve a lot of anxiety.
Karen O'Sullivan, 7 News.
An extra 3 million flu vaccines are being rolled out to ensure Australians are protected from influenza to help free up the health system to deal with coronavirus. The extra production will bring the country's total flu vaccine supply to 16.5 million doses. Protests against strict lockdowns ran across a second day in the US, with signs some state leaders are bowing to the pressure. Florida has now partially reopened its beaches, with more states indicating they may ease restrictions.
Honking, hollering, in a second day with little social distance. Americans demand freedom.
If we can't live, we might as well die.
Police in riot and protective gear standing by as thousands protest, insisting sweeping stay-at-home measures end.
Now, right now.
This rally promoted by a member of the President's reopening committee.
We need to be the Rosa Parks here and protest against these government injustices.
Comparing them to the legendary civil rights activist, best known for her pivotal role in the 1950s bus boycotts.
Well, there is a lot of injustice. I just think that some of the governors have gotten carried away.
How does this situation get worse? And get worse quickly? If you politicize all that emotion.
Here in New York, with still around 2,000 new patients being admitted to hospital every day, there are no plans to ease restrictions anytime soon. But elsewhere, some states look set to make their first moves to reopening within days. Crowds already back on the reopened sand in Florida, while the Vice President attended an Air Force graduation in person without a mask.
Let me tell you, this is an awesome sight.
The class of 2020 all kept at a safe distance. In New York, Paul Kadak, 7 News.
2 men are behind bars tonight after a police raid on their luxury yacht turned up hundreds of kilograms of the drug ice. Officers say the crew met up with another vessel from Mexico before sailing to cash in on Australian shores.
Drug trafficking investigations normally take months to work up, sometimes years. Arrests here took 2 days.
We will allege that that vessel was used to load border-controlled drugs off the coast of Norfolk Island.
The Lafayette was carrying more than 600 kilograms of ice, only making it to Australian shores under police escort. Officers unloaded piles upon piles of the drug from inside the vessel.
It was the intelligence exchanged prior to the interdiction, which led to a successful operation.
That intel was from New Caledonian law enforcement who had seized a boat from Mexico in the middle of the Pacific. Scuff marks indicated it had met up with another. Water police intercepted the Lafayette with such stealth. New Zealander Mark Bishel and British national Sebastian Barnard had no idea until officers were actually on board. The duo was swabbed for coronavirus testing.
We're just going to give you a check over.
Almost 6 to 8 hours of decontamination of the ship's crew, the boarding crew.
We've seen how coronavirus has slowly been eroding many sectors in the Australian economy, but it seems not the illicit drug sector. The kingpins still proceeded with the operation in spite of the pandemic, knowing how lucrative the drug market continues to be here.
There's been no less demand driven as a result of COVID-19 restrictions.
With arrests normally coming at the end of an investigation, here they mark the beginning. Robert Ovadia, 7 News.
Even if it was for just a couple of hours, the world had a very welcome distraction today as some of the biggest names in music teamed up from their homes. More than 70 artists united to celebrate and support frontline healthcare workers.
Smile though your heart is breaking.
Lady Gaga in her lounge room, kicking off a show.
We have to lean on each other for help.
Like no other.
Lean on me.
Isolated in 4 separate homes, the Stones unite one by one. Keith Richards, yes, still alive, a half-drunk beer on the table. Elton John in the backyard, belting from the kids' basketball court. And some got tricky. Keith Urban standing in for his band in the home studio.
On behalf of Nick and our girls, myself, all of us here, we say thank you. Thank you.
A rolling tribute to frontline staff.
Thank you, baby, thank you. Lady Madonna.
Paul McCartney's own mum was a nurse in World War II. He joined some 70 musicians, apart but in perfect unison. The One World Together at Home special was intended as a love note to healthcare workers. Messages of hope from across the globe.
Please be patient, stay encouraged, keep the faith, stay positive.
One from a Sydney lounge room. It wasn't a fundraiser, but corporate donations to buy equipment and support already topped $50 million before the show began.
Stand by me, stand by me.
But at a distance, which for some ain't so bad.
This social distancing thing is kind of a grouch's dream.
Emma Dallymore, 7 News.
Time to check our weather now with Angie Asimus. Ange, the showers held off today.
They did, Mark, and most centres didn't record a drop today. You'll see on the radar the wet weather generally sat just offshore with less than a millimetre pushing onto the coast, and that was between Newcastle and Port Macquarie. The only area of concern is the Snowy Mountains, where blustery westerlies are going to strengthen in that yellow zone tonight. Now, temperatures were a little cooler around Sydney thanks to easterly winds. We reached a top of 22.6 degrees in the city, 24.4 was the top at Penrith. We hit those maximums quite late in the day, so it's still pretty pleasant outside. 19 degrees in the CBD right now with 65% humidity. The forecast for the working week coming up soon, Mark.
OK, Angie, thank you. Work on the $2.6 billion M6 motorway will now begin in the next few months. Up next, a major jobs boost for Sydney workers in these tough times. Sinking feeling, a boat left stranded, how this dramatic rescue mission ended. Landing on top, the attempted getaway that's ended up with a unique pile-up. Later, struggling Aussies race to dip into their super, why experts warn it could be a bad idea. And in sport, an NRL rising star on a mission to shake his bad boy reputation.
7 News, brought to you by Business Australia.
If you're in business in Australia, right now you're facing one of your toughest challenges. It's not business as usual, and it's hard to know where to turn. Business Australia can help you manage your responsibilities to your employees, look after their health and well-being, and assist with strategies to maintain and sustain your business. We've been helping Australian businesses through thick and thin for 194 years, and we're here for you now. For free advice and support, visit businessaustralia.com.
Are you ready for takeoff?
Yes, baby.
When you're smiling.
Now that's more like it.
When you're smiling.
I think I'm going to throw up my lasagna.
The whole world smiles with you.
How amazing was that?
Welcome to 2020.
Keep on laughing, keep smiling.
This is what the world has been waiting for.
You're smiling, the whole world smiles.
Get ready. We're celebrating the extraordinary.
That is how you do it.
Brand new Britain's Got Talent. Wednesday, 7:30 on 7.
I like my underwear like I like my martinis.
dry. That's why Poise pads absorb 2 times more than you may need and are 5 times drier than leading period pads. You got protection, you got Poise.
It is the heart of the home. It's the heart of our family. We need it to last a long time.
We definitely make the whole process affordable and easy.
So to create the amazing look without the big prices, beautiful kitchens that look amazing.
Huddling at home? Try Domino's new Chicken Palmy on Deep Pan. With 22 succulent chicken pieces and crispy rasher bacon from just $15 delivered. Order now with total peace of mind thanks to zero contact delivery from Domino's.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians.
It's a start. 22 million to go. Will you help people get a better deal on their car insurance?
Will you fight to save Australians on their home insurance? Oh, Karen. She loves saving people money.
Who are you?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
A lot of people have sensitive teeth, but gum health is really important as well. If you've got sensitive teeth, you should be looking for something to help with the sensitivity, but you should also be thinking about, do I need to look after my gums? Using the new Sensodyne Sensitivity and Gum toothpaste not only deals with sensitivity, it also maintains gum health when used twice a day, every day. I think it's fantastic to have a dual action toothpaste. 2 benefits with the one toothpaste. What a great idea.
Tasty, affordable and delicious. What's for dinner in the next break with Coles?
Welcome back. 2 people have been saved after their catamaran hit shallow waters on a reef 200 kilometres off the coast of Cairns. The boat can be seen filling with water, almost fully submerged, as a rescue helicopter winched the 2 people on board to safety. Thankfully, neither was injured. Police are still searching for a man who indecently assaulted a woman at Dee Why Beach yesterday. The 26-year-old victim was walking between Dee Why and Longreef when the man allegedly exposed himself and then grabbed her. He's described as Caucasian, tanned, aged in his 30s with short, dark hair. Police are appealing for any information. Work is starting early on Sydney's M6 motorway, creating thousands of badly needed jobs. It's one of many projects in the pipeline as the government tries to pump life back into the construction industry and get our tradies back to work.
The new M6 motorway promising to ease congestion on one of Sydney's most notorious bottlenecks. Now, one step closer.
At the time of the COVID crisis, we are just getting on with the job.
$20 million worth of playing fields, amenities and play areas at Rockdale and Brighton are also on the way. Works to begin mid-year, opening up more than 5,000 jobs.
Surveys that we've just conducted suggest that there's a slowing down of projects in the pipeline, so we're very happy to hear that governments are bringing forward massive projects.
There are now calls for government to take advantage of quieter roads and push forward with other major projects.
To give business confidence that there is a pipeline of infrastructure projects to come.
The Sydney West Metro and Liverpool's trackless tram, 2 projects flagged by the Committee of Sydney think tank.
We are urging them to accelerate those plans.
That's what we need right now, and then that needs to lead to recovery through housing.
$70 million has already been promised by the state government to fund housing infrastructure in Sydney's northwest. The M6 project here in the south is due for completion in 2025. Amber Laidler, 7 News.
2 New Zealanders are suing their Prime Minister, Jacinda Ardern, claiming they've been unlawfully detained by the country's strict lockdown laws. It's believed the men have made their argument to Auckland's High Court, referring to the pandemic as panicdemic. Lawyers for the PM argue the lockdown does not amount to detention. Ms Ardern is due to announce tomorrow whether New Zealand will begin moving out of some COVID restrictions. A driver on the run has caused a spectacular crash in Utah as he sped through a red light. An SUV was sent flying, landing on top of a sedan, leaving one innocent driver with critical injuries. The 39-year-old who caused the crash was arrested. He's a suspect in a violent assault and robbery. A minor crash has become a crime scene in Sydney's west. Next, the fender bender that escalated into road rage with the police helicopter called in. Details next. Plus, he's the only world leader to have had coronavirus, so why is Boris Johnson being accused of not taking it seriously? The push to help councils clean up the mess left by hoarders. And from dance costumes to protective gear, some material girls get creative while in lockdown.
Are you ready for this? Oh, you're bloody kidding me.
The first whole house reveal is here.
This is just the best room I've ever seen in my life.
The incredible transformation you have to see to believe.
We give you a 10.
Not only have you changed our house, like you've literally changed our lives.
House Rules, the reveals, coming up next on 7.
G'day, Matt Stone here, still at home, and I'm going to share another recipe with everyone today. So we're going to do a poached chicken salad, but the sort of key point to this whole recipe and this whole dish is actually poaching of the chicken. So it's the best way to maximise the value out of the chicken. We're going to poach it whole. Really simple, we've just got a whole chicken. This is around 1.8 kilos. I've got 2 litres of water just in a pot coming to a boil, and I've got some garlic. I've got some rosemary, just simply because it's in the garden at the front, and just really carefully merge it in. We're going to bring it back to a boil, and we're going to turn it down to a simmer, and we're going to leave it for 20 minutes. So now we're going to turn off the heat and leave it for a further 15 minutes to cook through. This chicken's cooled down enough that I can handle it. We're just going to break it down. And as you can see, it's beautifully cooked. Sort of just cooked all the way through, but really nice and succulent. Okay, so all of those bones have gone back into the pot. We'll put it onto a high heat. 2 hours, you'll have a beautiful chicken stock. So we're going to make the salad using the breast today. And this leg meat we'll keep for a couple of days in the fridge. Probably best eaten next day, but we'll keep for 2. And this would be great with some chopped up vegetables and beans to make a taco filling. It'd be great shredded and mixed with some mayonnaise to make a sandwich filling. You can put it into a curry at the last minute. So it's got multiple uses, and we're really maximising how many meals we're getting from that one chicken. This dressing, we're going to use some sour cream. Just got one tub here. We've got the chopped dill, we've got some mayonnaise, dried garlic powder, and we're just going to add a small splash of cold water. And you can see we've got this kind of nice loose dressing. We'll add the seasoned mustard, just kind of a nice teaspoon. It's good to go now. Alrighty, so we've just washed these cucumbers. You can cut this however you like, really. I'm just going to do it kind of a little bit chunky-ish. So we've got these beautiful avocados. We've got our cos lettuce that's been washed really nicely. We don't want to overdress it, but we want to make sure everything's nicely coated. And we're just going to kind of layer these leaves into the plate. So we've got our avocado, we've got our cucumber, we've got some dill, we've got some croutons, got the chicken. So we're just kind of layering it all together here. We're just going to add a little bit of seasoning. Then we're going to take a bit more of the dressing. And there it is, that's my poached chicken salad. So we've got maximum value out of one chook. So we've got 4 main course portions of this chicken salad. We can get 4 main course portions using the legs in a different dish, and we're going to end up with around 2 litres of chicken stock as well. So we're using the whole animal, we're getting maximum value out of it, and making delicious food. There it is.
Looks like a man who'd be good with his hands.
What's a girl got to do to get the guy?
I like you! Do you like me too?
Home and Away, this week at 7.
Welcome back. A 68-year-old man has been badly beaten in a frightening road rage attack. Residents in Mays Hill watched in horror as a younger man punched him to the ground.
He's punching hell out of this bloke through the window. Next minute he opens the door and drags him out and he hits the ground. I thought, oh, Jesus. I said, hey, for Christ's sake, you'll kill him.
Police say they'd been involved in a minor crash on the M4. The 27-year-old fled the scene but was tracked down by the police helicopter and dog unit. His victim is now stable. Many Germans have also begun protesting coronavirus lockdowns spilling onto the streets of Berlin. While in the UK, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has now been accused of complacency after missing 5 emergency meetings as the pandemic loomed.
In Berlin, where gatherings of more than 2 people are strictly banned, hundreds gathered to protest just that, claiming social distancing laws are against the country's constitution. Chanting, "We are the people," as more than 250 riot police risked their own health to disperse the crowd. No such scenes in other European capitals, rather compliance, with one poll suggesting 90% of Britons support current restrictions. But the UK government has been accused of underestimating the public by refusing to reveal how lockdown measures will be lifted. Some say the only way to ensure cooperation continues is to keep people informed. With claims they've been misled from the very start. A senior advisor to Downing Street revealing to the Sunday Times that Boris Johnson, the only world leader to contract coronavirus, skipped 5 COBRA meetings as the outbreak worsened, ignoring scientists' warnings and calls to order protective gear. Now there's a critical shortage.
I never thought I'd be in a developed country, in a first world country, wearing plastic aprons. You know, it disappoints me, but it scares me really. I'm scared for my family going home as well.
400,000 gowns are arriving from Turkey, barely enough for 3 days. In London, Sarah Greenhalgh, 7 News.
There could be a new trend building amongst Sydney doctors as colourful dance costumes are turned into protective medical gowns. It's just one way community groups are trying to help our very busy GPs.
Normally weekends for these swing dancers are spent twisting and turning. Banned from social activities, this group is putting their energy to good use, making protective gowns for GPs from fun vintage fabrics normally sourced for costumes like these.
Our godmother, Linda Mann, is a GP, and we found out that she didn't have access to gowns. So they're made out of some really stunning vintage reproduction fabric. I'm a little bit jealous.
Delivering the snazzy gowns to doctors' clinics around Sydney's inner west.
They are fun. Now you must admit, there's a lot of anxiety and difficulty. How much more fun is it to actually, especially for kids, be faced with a doctor who looks like this?
Members of the community are also lending their sewing skills to make face masks for the homeless. Just one example of communities helping each other. There's been a significant increase in calls put out on the website Next Door for help from local neighbourhoods.
Now what we're seeing is people are really using it to just lend a helping hand. Next Door is available in every neighbourhood in Australia, and we have users in every state and territory.
And these dancers might just have some new recruits.
Maybe we can all teach them how to Charleston.
Jessica Ridley, 7 News.
A man has died after smashing his car into the back of a truck in Sydney southwest overnight. The driver was travelling along Campbelltown Road at Casula when he hit the median strip and crashed into the corner of the truck's tray, reducing his Mazda 3 to a crumpled wreck. Police are investigating. Last week was a tragic one on our waterways with 4 people dying and many others injured. Today, another 2 teenagers were hurt. Maritime officers have issued a stark warning to boat owners, reminding them about the grim reality of hitting the water without life jackets.
It's behaviour like this that has Maritime seeing red. 2 boats collide in the water of Sydney's northern beaches after a horror week on our waterways.
Do you have 2 life jackets on board I could see, please?
On Monday at Collaroy, a family of 4 oblivious to the huge waves dumped violently near rocks.
No.
2 men returning to Port Kembla boat ramp later in the week encountered rough seas. The 32-year-old rescued, but his 68-year-old companion unable to be saved. The body of a 76-year-old man was also found after he set out from Ulladulla and capsized in rough waters, while 2 rock fishermen died after being swept away by big surf at Kurnell. Worryingly, life jackets not worn in any of the incidents.
1 death in our waterways is too many.
With our cameras on board today, Maritime showed how fast things can change.
We'll get you to take the line up to the bow. We'll walk it around to the stern so we can get you in tow.
Pulling this family to safety as their boat drifted towards the rocks.
We accidentally hit the kill switch, or one of the kids did, and we couldn't start it.
While life jackets are the main target today, Maritime is also urging non-essential boat users to go home. The only good reasons to be out here on the water is fishing and essential exercise, which means sailing is okay.
Don't take unnecessary risks, and at the moment, unless you really need to be out, don't be.
Tom Saker, 7 News.
Local councils are demanding rule changes to help clean up hoarder homes. Councils say hoarders are costing ratepayers thousands of dollars a week in legal and cleaning fees. They want appeal rights abolished and special squads set up to target junk piles visible from the street. The state government is also being called on to set up counselling services for those who hoard. Struggling pubs are getting a lifeline from a leading local brewer. Up next, takeaway beer. Get your favourite draft delivered to your door. Plus, Slam and Sam's back and bringing meat trays with him. How to get in on the giveaway and support Aussie veterans. Where does Macca's really come from? The new edition deemed a win for farmers.
And it's looking like another stellar day across our region tomorrow. Your detailed Monday outlook is coming up.
Tonight on 7.
Life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
It's time to feel good. Tom Hanks in a world where nothing's impossible.
I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is.
Forrest Gump, tonight on 7.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Callum Murray.
Callum Murray.
Calamari.
Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
Goodie.
I've missed it. I missed it.
With Australian tuned suspension, the Hyundai Tucson is made for it. Even if you're not.
Their doors might be closing, but they're always open on eBay. Stay home shop online and help support 40,000 Aussie retailers.
Ladies and gentlemen, get ready, dog. Get ready. Ready? Set. Jump to the rhythm as hard as you can go. Get ready.
This is like nothing we have ever faced.
We are going to be tested, but we all need to play our part. Stay calm, don't panic, be patient. Look out for each other.
And most importantly,
Listen to the experts.
Stay inside, wash your hands, practice social distancing. Don't impact my ability
to save a life. It might be yours that I'm trying to save.
Stay at home.
And every day,
We will come to work for you.
please help us.
Let's flatten that curve.
The average price of unleaded is still steadily falling, now less than 98 cents a litre, even lower in Liverpool, where we've seen it posted for just 79.7 cents. In what's been described as a win for Aussie farmers, McDonald's will now display the country of origin for the ingredients in all its products. It means customers will be able to see where their food is actually coming from. The federal government wants other fast food chains to follow suit. Bushfire recovery remains a strong focus in New South Wales despite restrictions caused by COVID-19. Work on a number of native plants and animal species is set to receive funding as part of remediation efforts following the bushfire crisis. Part of the federal government's $50 million wildlife and habitat recovery package will go towards saving possums, wallabies and native plant life. RSLs might be shut down, but you can still buy a ticket in a meat tray raffle. Australia's Sam Kekovich has teamed up with the veteran support group Swiss 8 for an Anzac Day special, aiming to offer $30,000 worth of meat trays, hoping for a world record.
My fellow homeschooling neighbour avoiding Tiger King binge-watching Aussie. Donate to the cause, Australians. Win meat trays and support the mental health of our veterans. Now that's 2 up. Stand with me, fellow Australians, but just not right next to me.
We have information on how to buy a ticket on our website. Struggling pubs across Sydney have been thrown an 11th-hour lifeline as they battle to keep the beer flowing while this crisis drags on. They're now selling takeaway beer, hoping to ensure businesses survive and workers hold on to their jobs.
From the tap to the bottle, a sight for sore eyes. It's a good old-fashioned draft beer, and they're now selling again at a pub near you.
When coronavirus hit and some of these pubs and clubs, well, all of them had to close, they're the heart and soul of the community.
The Royal Hotel in Bondi is the first pub in Sydney that will be able to sell draft beer and these growlers, an initiative starting today to ensure less beer goes to waste, giving managers like Sam Edgerton and some of his staff a job again behind the bar.
We're at a point in time right now where the vast majority of our working force is out of work.
Local brewer Lion spent millions of dollars buying back thousands of kegs from pubs that couldn't use them. Now they're preparing to help pubs across the country keep on pouring.
We offered to bring back 100,000 full kegs. That's worth about $30 million.
This initiative was only made possible after the ATO ensured struggling pubs wouldn't have to pay another tax for repackaging kegged beer, which means this is as close to business as usual as pubs can get.
You can put on some sport from the 80s and pretend you're sitting at the pub having a yarn with your mates.
The beer will be sold through adjoining bottle shops for as long as pubs are shut. Tom Saker, 7 News.
Thousands are hoping to do it, but is it really the best choice? Accessing your super changes from tomorrow, but it has risks. So what are the details and the best advice? We'll have both soon on 7 News. But now Mel is here with sport, and Mel, a young Raiders rookie, is working hard to make amends.
He is, Fergo, and we are about to see the wonderful work Hudson Young is doing to help his local community. We'll also have the latest on the planned restart to the NRL competition, plus why fears are growing that another major pay dispute could be on the cards between Cricket Australia and the players. And we check in on the superstar Campbell sisters, who are physically apart right now, but very much united in their Olympic ambitions.
Are you ready for this? Oh, you're bloody kidding me!
The first whole house reveal is here.
Yeah. Not only have you changed our house, like you've literally changed our lives.
House Rules, the reveals, coming up next on 7.
It is the heart of the home, it's the heart of our family. We need it to last a long time.
We definitely make the whole process affordable and easy.
So to create the amazing look without the big prices, beautiful kitchens that look amazing.
Oh, I just went and got some milk.
Hey, wait a sec. Let's try new white choc flavour.
Just like a white choc milkshake, only crunchy.
Your home means more than ever, and so does having the right home loan. To understand your options, go straight to Aussie. We'll help ensure you have the right loan for right now.
When life gives you sauciness, Godfrey's gives you cleanliness. Ivac Steam Mop, $59, save $40. Hoover Zenith Stick Vacuum, $299, save $100. Godfrey's Cleanliness.
Huddling at home? Try Domino's new Chicken Palmy on Deep Pan. With 22 succulent chicken pieces and crispy rasher bacon from just $15 delivered. Order now with total peace of mind thanks to zero contact delivery from Domino's.
Geeks to you saved my life.
Actually, I just saved all these photos. This PC had a virus.
Geeks to you, set up, synced up and sorted out my world.
Well, her IT world at least.
With our new improved download speed, we're streaming every night.
Is there no end to their problem-solving powers?
If there is a problem we can't fix, you don't pay.
They may be geeks to you, but they're miracle workers to me.
Call 1300 Geeks to You and we'll come to you.
Right now, lives like Eva's still depend on regular blood donations. To her, they'll always be an essential service, which is why Life Blood Donor Centres are safe and still open. If you're feeling well, book a donation today.
A lot has changed over the last few months, but globally, Allianz Group's commitment to serving its 100 million customers around the world hasn't. As part of this global network, Allianz Australia has been supporting our customers through uncertainty and change for over 100 years. So you can rely on us to be here for you now and in the future to ensure what matters most. Because our support doesn't stop here.
You're right there for every heart-pounding emergency.
That's the biggest damn fire I've seen.
New 911, Monday on 7.
The Sports Report brought to you by Allianz.
Welcome back. The Queensland Government is now willing to consider playing NRL games and an Origin clash in the state this season. Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk will meet with ARL Commission Chairman Peter V'landys in coming days to discuss options. She was staunchly opposed to any games being played during the health crisis. It's understood an Origin clash in Brisbane, possibly in October, is back on the radar.
It's all going to depend on the health advice. I've been very clear with that. So, yes, the door's always open, but it depends where we are, in what month and what the health advice is.
Well, the Warriors are set to arrive here on May 3 to train in northern New South Wales ahead of the planned restart on May 28. The Warriors will eventually set up base on the Central Coast. Well, he's earned a bad boy reputation after being suspended twice last season for eye gouging, but rising Raiders star Hudson Young is on the road to redemption. The 21-year-old has decided to use the current lockdown to make a real difference as a special carer for men with disabilities.
Raiders rookie Hudson Young is on the front line during the corona crisis, volunteering as a much-needed support worker in his hometown of Newcastle.
I'm pretty passionate about taking care and that sort of people. Just being able to have a laugh with them sort of blokes that sort of don't have it as easy as we do playing NRL each week.
Hudson's part of a team that assists clients with mental illness or a disability cope with independent living.
Words can't express how grateful we are. If Ricky was here today, I'd shake his hand and just say, look, yeah, from the bottom of my heart, mate, thanks.
When he walks in the front door, he really wants to learn, he's really eager, he's really keen, and I think he's a part of the team.
Top of the notch dude, yeah. That's what there's to, kind of thing, like, yeah, top dude.
While Hudson's now a hit in this residence, he became a household name for all the wrong reasons when he copped an 8-week suspension for eye gouging, not once, but twice.
Hudson, it certainly wasn't a good look, was it?
No, it wasn't. I think it was a grubby action, and I've worked hard to remove it out of my game, and I think I've done that.
Well, you've had some hard conversations with Ricky Stewart.
He's made it pretty clear that if it happens again, then I'd say I'll be shown the door.
Hudson still struggles with the embarrassment the incident caused his family.
Incredibly tough for my little brothers and my family, especially with Ned and Pop and Mum and Dad and that sort of stuff. They were heartbroken.
The incident saw the 21-year-old miss out on the chance to play in the Raiders grand final, but the hardest thing is, because of COVID-19, his 8-week suspension has no end date.
Guess I've got to keep training and keep looking forward.
Michelle Bishop, 7 News.
There are growing fears Cricket Australia is headed for another ugly pay dispute with players. Requests from the Players Association for details on CA's financial position have fallen on deaf ears. Facing a pay cut of at least 50% under their revenue sharing agreement, the players want to know exactly why the cash crisis is so dire.
Cricket Australia showing us the direction of the game and the financial transparency is paramount, so we can talk through that with the players.
Cricket Australia's executive team have only had their salaries cut by 20%. Well, the sports shutdown has done the unthinkable and split swimming superstar Campbell sisters. Kate has gone home to Brisbane while Bronte stayed in Sydney, and revealed postponing the Tokyo Games instead of cancelling saved both their Olympic farewells.
Superfish out of water, swimming's great sister act is now separated by a state border lockdown.
What I miss most is actually swimming.
My DIY was a veggie patch, and 2 days into it, the vegetables are still alive.
With nowhere to swim, Kate's gone back to Brisbane, living with friends and encouraging them to train with her in the backyard.
Most importantly for us swimmers, my dad came and installed a chin-up bar for me, so I'm a happy camper.
Bronte's in lockdown in Sydney, where the Campbells moved with coach Simon Cusack to help grow their sport with N-Swiss.
I don't think many people want more time to prepare, but I'm looking at it that way. Hopefully then, by the time the Olympics come around in 2021, I'll be even more ready to go.
Sprint swimming's not kind on shoulders. Just 27, Kate had virtually confirmed Tokyo would be her fourth and last games. At 25, Bronte now reveals that postponing instead of cancelling saved her Olympic swan song too.
I don't think I'm going to be swimming in another 4 years' time. I can do another year, but another 4 years is a lot to commit to, so that would have been incredibly heartbreaking.
As always with Kate and Bronte, there's real perspective about the chase for individual gold.
In light of what's going on in everyone else's lives, that's not that big a deal.
I still have that future and that goal to work towards. Some people's livelihoods have been completely destroyed.
But hopefully for all of us, we're back to normal soon.
I just love swimming. How stupid is that?
Matt Carmichael, 7 News.
And here's another idea, ladies. Dual Olympic medalist Yulia Efimova has swapped the swimming pool for the kitchen bench to keep training in lockdown. The Russian hopes to qualify for what will be her fourth Olympics in Tokyo next year. Well, Aussie Jess Fox has converted the family swimming pool into a makeshift training area in her backyard. A 7-time world champion in canoe slalom, Fox will be one of the gold medal favourites in Tokyo. Michael Jordan is worried a new documentary on his legendary Chicago Bulls team will make him look like a horrible guy. Jordan's relentless pursuit of excellence is laid bare in The Last Dance. A look at his final season with the Bulls in the late 90s with never-before-seen vision and interviews.
At that point, Michael Jordan's already the ultimate. Management started talking about the franchise is going to change or we're going to rebuild. I thought it was unfair.
The first episodes are available to Aussie viewers from tomorrow. And here is another example of how human ingenuity is flourishing during this lockdown. 2 women in Italy decided to make a rooftop racket playing a game of tennis from neighbouring buildings. Yeah, great example of staying active and having a bit of fun while adhering to social distancing guidelines at all times. A lot of fun. Great to see all these people getting so creative. Ferg, I'd probably lose a lot of tennis balls if that was me.
Yeah, long way down if you leave it short, isn't it? Good on you, Mel. Thank you. From tomorrow, Aussie workers can access up to $10,000 of their super if you need extra cash to get through the pandemic. So far, more than 800,000 people have expressed interest, but financial experts are warning not to take more than you need.
Times are tough. Financially, businesses are shut, staff out of work. But from tomorrow, a lifeline for some. Australians can access up to $10,000 of their super and a further $10,000 from July 1.
If you have needs that need to be met and you have no other cash to access that, well, this is a viable option.
You are eligible if you're unemployed, receive a job seeker payment, or from January 1 you were made redundant or your business or working hours have been reduced by 20% or more. But financial experts say it should be a last resort.
Have a look at what other support the government has got on offer. It is very generous and it should get you through.
Industry Super Australia has done the figures. If you're 25 and withdraw $10,000, you could lose more than $62,000 by the time you retire. If you're 40, you could lose just over $32,000.
The last thing we want as a nation is for a huge cohort of people to be more reliant on the pension.
Many people are already considering accessing their super, with more than 880,000 Australians registering their interest with the ATO. You can apply online through MyGov. Once approved, your fund will pay you within 5 days. Amelia Radham, 7 News.
Coming up, Angie Asmus has the forecast, and Angie, the autumn sunshine rolls on.
Yeah, just a beautiful time of year, Mark, and the glorious weather is here to stay for now. Your detailed 7-day forecast is next.
Are you ready for this? Oh, you're bloody kidding me!
The first whole house reveal is here.
This is just the best room I've ever seen in my life.
The incredible transformation you have to see to believe.
I give you a 10.
Not only have you changed our house, like you've literally changed our lives.
House Rules, the reveals, coming up next on 7.
We know you've always worked hard for your money. In these uncertain economic times, who do you trust to protect your wealth? Invest with La Trobe Financial, Australia's multi-award-winning wealth manager and leading credit specialist. Trusted by Australians for more than 60 years.
Employees of Budget Direct. Over 20 years, you have become the country's most award-winning insurer, providing top-notch cover for more than 3 million Australians.
It's a start. 22 million to go. Will you help people get a better deal on their car insurance?
Will you fight to save Australians on their home insurance?
No, Karen. She loves saving people money.
Who are you?
Proudly saving Australians on insurance for 20 years. Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
When a cold disturbs your family's sleep, Vicks Vapor Rub relieves cough, nasal congestion, muscle aches and pains. They sleep, you sleep. Vicks Vapor Rub relieves 4 cough and cold symptoms.
I drive a lot. I build stuff, pull things, push things, and I hit things. And then I carry stuff.
What do you do again?
I drive a Hilux.
Australia's #1 selling vehicle, 4 years running. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
In a world full of flavour, don't let your denture leave you with bad breath. Try new Polydent Cleansing Wipes, our quickest and easiest way to refresh your denture for that super fresh feeling, at home or out and about.
Join any combined hospital and extras cover online, and we'll waive the 2 and 6 month wait on extras. Plus, join by April 23rd and get up to $300 off your policy. Join NIB today. It's worth it.
NRMA Insurance has always been committed to helping Australians. And while you're at home during this time, our customer care team remains on hand, continuing to help, as we always will.
Cookie people, cream people, crumbs people, clean people, twist people, lick people, dunk people, munch people. It's on the play, people. If you twist, lick, dunk, then you're my people. We are Oreo people.
The definitive source, keeping you totally informed.
Breaking news in the fight against coronavirus.
Turn to 7 News at 6.
Tonight, 7 News headlines. A second person has died in a virus-stricken Penrith nursing home, with as many as 40 other residents and staff testing positive. The state's death toll is now 28. An indication our tough lockdown measures appear to be working. New modelling suggesting it's saved hundreds of lives already. Barnaby's warning. The MP says we shouldn't trust his own government with our data on the COVID-19 app. And a remarkable lineup of musicians unite from their homes, paying tribute to frontline medical staff. Now, the latest on Sydney's weather, here's Angie.
Thanks very much, Mark. Well, the forecast showers failed to push onto the coast today, so overall it was fine. Just a little bit of cloud cover about. We reached a top of 22.6 degrees just after 3 p.m. following a cooler night than we've been seeing of late, dipping to 12.6. You'll see that shower activity sat just offshore for most of the day, so while they didn't bring much wet weather, the onshore winds did make for slightly cooler conditions. 21 was the top at the airport and Cronulla. Parramatta hit a top of 22. Camden climbed to 24. that was about the warmest. Katoomba managed just 17. From the satellite, most of New South Wales is pretty well cloud-free under the influence of high pressure. The north coast, though, may just see a couple of storms linked to a trough over Queensland. Tomorrow, we're watching a cold front move across from the west here. That will trigger a blustery cool change for southern New South Wales starting tonight. Warnings are in place for the Snowy Mountains, although the rest of the state won't experience the effects of that. Tomorrow's capitals, Brisbane expecting a sunny top of 27 degrees, overcast for Canberra, top of just 16, so getting cool. Melbourne and Hobart are expecting periods of rain, an early shower or two for Adelaide, top of 20, shower or two developing for Perth, aiming for 23 degrees, a sunny 34 for Darwin, and warm in the Alice, 36 degrees. Statewide, there's that cool change reaching the south, so Thredbo expecting a temperature range of 1 to 3 degrees. Bathurst should see a morning fog dipping to 4 degrees overnight. In fact, quite a few single-digit minimums tomorrow. Tops, though, should reach the low to mid-20s for most centres. Now, closer in, it will be a little bit overcast for our western suburbs, partly cloudy in the east. Temperatures are going to be a touch down on recent conditions as well, with maximums unlikely to pass the low 20s, just 19 at Springwood and 15 for Katoomba. On the coast, winds will be variable at first at about 10 knots, then from about midday they will swing around to the west, reaching 15 knots, so all fairly manageable. For the CBD, we're heading for a low of 14 degrees tonight, a top of 22, so that is pretty typical for this time of year. Now, the week ahead is looking a treat. It's going to be dry, not a drop of rain, but the temperatures are really the standout. We're going to see tops in the mid to high 20s from about Tuesday onwards, and it's looking very summery towards the end of the week as we approach the weekend as well. We're looking at high 20s. Check out Friday, 28 in the city and 29 in our west. So pretty extraordinary for this time of year. We can all be pretty happy with that lineup, I think, Mark.
Now, Angie, something has grown between us.
It's appeared.
Almost time to take that wonderful, very big, very exciting step to motherhood.
Yes.
Sadly, no hugs,
no,
no handovers these days. So from everyone here, we want to wish both you and Chris all the very best for the exciting weeks ahead.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to have something to look forward to at this difficult time. But we'll miss you all, and we'll see you soon.
We'll see the newest member of the team real soon.
You will.
Good on you, Angie. Thank you. That is 7 News for this Sunday. We'll have updates for you throughout the evening. I'm Mark Ferguson from all the team, especially Angie. I hope you have a great night.